Hello, everyone. My name is Joshua Eisen, and I'm the president of Parking Logix, and I'd like to welcome you to Smarter Parking and Safer Hospitals, brought to you by Parking Logix. We're happy to have you here today to listen and learn about new technologies that we have to provide greater customer service across hospital parking environments, in addition to traffic calming products to slow cars down, to reduce fatalities and liabilities on campus, to make a safer environment for hospital facilities and environments. So a little bit about, what's so special about a healthcare parking environment? What is unique about it? Well, how are these technologies used, and what makes something so special about hospital parking? One of the unique factors that differentiates hospitals from other environments is that you have several typical peak ingress and egress periods over the course of the day. What this means is you could have hundreds or to thousands of employees on maybe a 24-hour operation schedule where they come in and out in either 8-hour shifts or maybe 10 or 12-hour shifts, but you get large portions of the parking population moving in and out at the same time, i.e. staff coming in and making sure they're not late for work. At the same time, they might not be able to find spaces because the staff haven't been able to leave yet to open it up for them. Also, something that's unique amongst healthcare environments is that you actually have many unique visitors. So many people are coming each time for their first time to your hospital. Either it's to visit a guest or a patient or potentially for their own services. The idea is many times on any given day, you have many people that have never been there before. That's a lot different to a corporate office building with many people just coming in for work every single day. Also, what happens is that you have so many different types of parking groups that need to be catered to individually, from physicians to staff and nurses, facilities maintenance, administration personnel, not to mention patients, their visitors, but also volunteers on campus. Each of them have different times and hours and periods in which they need to be parking, and providing for that and allocating space towards them becomes complex in a healthcare parking environment. And finally, the concept, especially with the patients and the visitors, is that people are coming in actually with a negative stress mind. Meaning is they're not necessarily elated or happy when they're looking for a space or coming into a healthcare environment because something's on their mind or they might be feeling ill. So this kind of emotional concern also has an important aspect as customer service because you have to address that pain point while it's there. Amongst these different healthcare providers that myself at Parking Logix have worked with over the years, we find some common goals, whether it's amongst the facilities managers, the administration of a healthcare facility, or just the parking managers. And that comes down to typically is safety. We want to reduce liabilities and fatalities in and around our campus and make it better for pedestrians and drivers alike. The service aspect in terms of you're there, you want a certain experience consistent with your brand to put out, and better managing traffic and parking flow is congruent with that and those strategies for branding. And finally, there's also a need that we find with healthcare people to understand better what's going on within their facilities. So lumping that under statistics, the idea of knowing who's parking, how many people, when and where and why, allows you to make certain kind of decisions to really empower your parking operation. So where I'm coming from is Parking Logix. We're a subsidiary of the Logix ITS group, which is a large multinational company with operations in India, Latin America, the US, and Canada, providing traffic calming and parking counting solutions that are completely interoperable to provide you a unified view of traffic counts, safety statistics, in addition to traffic calming tools to slow cars down, along with the Parking Logix parts of parking counting, occupancy, and guidance systems. And so all of these things are sort of unique for healthcare environment because in many cases, healthcare environments operate like cities. You'll often be responsible for the roads. Maybe you have your own police or fire or departments locally nearby to support your campus. So our solutions can be used interoperably around them. And what is the advantage of the Logix ITS products? Well, they're the simplest to install. With over 90% of our clients installing their systems themselves without third-party installers or resellers, the cost of installation or the total cost of ownership is reduced significantly through our product line. Simply put up a pole, put on a sign, and off you go. What we also do that is unique is we provide a unified interface of both traffic counting, traffic enforcement, and parking occupancy all within one data house to allow you to access data and make decisions with regard to both safety, traffic, and parking together. And finally, not a single one of our products comes with a maintenance plan. All of these products are built to last, and there might be some cost for web services to get web APIs and subscription, but there is no regular physical maintenance or contracts ever required with any of the Parking Logix or Logix ITS systems. First thing I want to talk about is traffic safety on campuses. The way that we at Parking Logix, Traffic Logix, and Logix ITS look at this is we divide our product or traffic safety products along three main categories. We either make people slower, we either advise people to slow down, or finally, we work to penalize those people that have broken speed limits around campus. So let's talk first about the make. Our parent company for over 20 years has been providing rubber safety and traffic calming solutions to literally every country and almost every single vertical imaginable. The impact of these are huge because they slow cars down. All of our modular parking products can be built in any widths or lengths. And what's nice about them is that they're all made of 100% recycled rubber. In addition to traffic calming devices, which we see here is called our speed cushion, we also have rubber bike lane delineators that then act to segment the traffic between vehicle traffic and bicycle traffic. This is right in line with current TDM initiatives where many hospital campuses or even universities and cities alike are trying to get more people to take bicycle options and stuff to get to their place to reduce emissions and such like that. So what we're trying to do in this case is find these modular solutions to put them down, reduce fatalities, and calm the traffic there. On the bottom right-hand corner, you'll see an image, and what's nice is when the rubber goes down, what you're then able to do is still have large fire trucks, ambulances, and like traverse over the rubber without their axles going up. So they don't actually go up and down, they can go in safely. Especially in healthcare environments, this is important as you do have tons of ambulances and fire trucks coming in and out. And this is an ability to have them come in and out without their speed impeded. But getting to the bike lanes, as simple and as clear as you can see now, these bike lanes can be installed in hours. And instead of requiring the necessary concrete or what would be required to make an additional bike lane off the road, if you have a wide enough road, you can just lay these down and block the traffic out. The next thing I'd like to bring down is this concept of advising. So where our rubber solutions slow cars down, typically to about a 25-mile-an-hour limit, there's a whole range of products that are highly adopted all across the board, which are in the advise segment. And this is where we have a wide network of what we call as our radar feedback signs that tell people their speed as they're driving by. These signs aim to save lives and they reduce speeds by warning people and blinking and flashing to them what their speeds are so they know when they're going way too fast. We have different colors and slowing down and different size digits depending on speeds on the road. But the main point is that these things slow down traffic between 10 and 15 miles per hour. So this creates a huge benefit, especially for the liability and safety of people on your campus. Studies have shown that if a person is hit at 45 miles an hour, or if a person is hit at 35 miles an hour, there's an 80% better chance of survival if they're hit at 35 miles an hour. Both rubber and traffic calming solutions like this radar feedback sign, by slowing drivers down, you are dramatically increasing the chance of survival should there ever be an accident on your campus. This is verified by fact, and the fact that we have over between, call it 7,000 and 10,000 of these signs actively working across the planet means that we're helping save lives each and every day. The next part of our integrated suite, especially when it comes to safety, is this concept of kind of penalizing people. So while the rubber slowed people down, the radar signs advised people to slow down, cameras can be used in order to provide photo evidence of those who are speeding simply for the purpose of changing bad behavior. We do not work with police departments in this way to send tickets out. This is meant to be used as an internal system to identify who are the worst case speeders across your campus. You may find that there's a physician or someone else in admin who actively speeds and goes around. This can be photo evidence to use to them to maybe say, hey, you might lose your premier parking pass if we catch you speeding again. Or simply by sending them a form to know that they are being watched will result in them hopefully changing their behavior. The next part of our integrated suite, which is my background, is this parking counting technology or parking guidance systems. And what these are used for in many cases is to provide an amazing service aspect to the customer's parking experience when they're coming to your site or campus. When they're in that stressed mental state and they're coming to the campus, they might not know where the best place is to park at any given time, and they might not know where to find that parking to be in time for their appointment. So these systems are used in a number of ways. The way most importantly are as a guidance platform to direct cars, but at the same time as we're counting cars in and out of facilities, we're also providing a dedicated back-end data system that tracks each and every car movement in and out of the garage to different areas or levels within it, or within different garages on a portfolio campus. So why put in parking counting technology? Or why are the people that we're working with using it now? Firstly, getting to that stress point, knowing where parking is going to make this a much easier experience for people coming in who are in a stressed mindset. If they're late for an appointment, they don't need to think about, I don't want to be late, I can't find parking. You want them to get where they need to get on time, because these are very important appointments that they may have been waiting months for, especially in Canada, if I have to put that in. But also, while guiding people to available spaces, what you're doing in turn is increasing the utilization of the actual lots. Instead of 100 cars waiting to get in a 50 space lot, signage and counts can provide people the opportunity to know where spaces are in other lots, so you don't have these buildups and cars are more evenly distributed across your portfolio. Another big use across our medical campuses we're seeing are the idea of alerting staff when peak occupancies are hit. So if you have a visitor lot and maybe that lot is full, maybe you want to put out other signs. Maybe you want to put an attendant there to direct people, because the main goal is to get people to their appointments on time. And both the alerts and the guidance aspect both help to achieve that result. And in the end, putting in a counting system can save the time and money necessary for doing manual counts that you may have to do to understand what your occupancies are for planning permits. And I'll get to that shortly. So we have people in healthcare, city environment, universities, convention centers, airports, but there's very specific uses in the healthcare environment of how you can use parking occupancy data. And these are some of the things I'm just going to share with you and talk about. So knowing how busy your lots are is probably the most essential tool to saying is, how many more spaces am I going to need to build? So if we start off with 100 spaces and they all get filled, you're like, okay, we need another lot. But the question is that next lot going to be 100 spaces, 50 spaces? Maybe you only need 25. Understanding your occupancy at peak times of day allows you to understand is, where is your parking demand going to forecast better for the future? The average construction space for a parking space today in North America is 25 to 30 grand for a garage on top. If you have to dig down in the ground, you're looking at, if you have to excavate, probably $50,000. If you save 100 spaces on a development or 50 spaces, you're saving millions of dollars in future construction costs that can be going better to healthcare activities. Another main way that healthcare institutions are using our data is for pricing and enforcement. So I'm not necessarily suggesting that dynamic pricing is always what you want to do for occupancy for especially visitors or patients, but knowing the busiest times of day, if you want to instigate the behavior to move people to other parts, we can tell you which lots are occupied, when and how, for you to better be able to manage your pricing program. What this also does is, it can also be used at the same time with enforcement technologies. So right now, if you have either an app-based payment for the hospital or a pay-by-space or pay-by-plate technology currently in operation, at any given time, all the asset manager knows is the number of paid tickets or the number of people that use their app. Using a digital count from an accurate system What then you can do is marry that information to understand is, what is my parker payment compliance? The idea is, if you only have potentially 3 or 4 people who didn't pay for parking at one lot by matching the number of paid tickets with the occupancy, maybe it's not worth sending an enforcement personnel there. However, if you find a lot where you have only 50 paid people in it, but a parking counting system says you have 100 cars inside, that might be the right time to send an enforcement agent, where we can use our alerts to help make that push so you get better parker compliance and also enforcement efficiencies. Getting to one of my earlier points that I spoke about with regard to different parker groups, how do you allocate them? How do you know how many staff or visitors or which lots you're supposed to use for which parker group? Knowing occupancies, how long people are staying, when people are coming in and out, helps you determine to match your parking to your operational demand of traffic and who's coming in and out for different shifts. This is hugely beneficial to understand as well. If this lot is only half empty at certain points or half full at certain points, you can then maybe introduce afternoon passes. You'll know then to move maybe visitor or other patient parking to those areas and get better use out of the asset. And finally, productivity. Knowing the times that your lot is busy and when can help with maintenance activities, when to stripe, when to sweep, when to have welcome assistance there. If you know your peak time is between 9:17 and 10:32 a.m., maybe you want to have someone there on hot days giving out bottled water to people. Maybe those are better times to send out enforcement personnel. Or maybe you find that there's an outbound shift of staff and nurses at 2:32 in the morning, and there's a peak ingress at that time, and maybe you would rather put extra security guards in the hospital parking areas to ensure that people feel safer. These are all different ways of better using that data. And the way that our system works is a very simple way of simply putting sensors at the entry and exit lanes. Our base product, OpenSpace, uses ingress-ingress sensors that are wireless, battery powered, last 3 to 5 years, and are 99% accurate at counting cars in and out of surface lots. Simply, an entry sensor is put in the entry lane, a car drives over, and it wirelessly updates the sign. We can have unlimited signs, unlimited entries, unlimited exits in order to compile a total count for any level, floor, or outdoor lot, and then we communicate and broadcast that to signs. When we have entries or exits that are hundreds of feet away, all the technology works completely wirelessly through a network of repeaters that then collect the sensor signals and then distribute basically a correlated count to all other signs or external devices. So the idea is this system is plug and play. It requires no local power, as all components can be solar powered or battery powered, and requires 0 local data on site. All of the data is transmitted to the cloud via SIM card embedded right in the sign, so that way no Ethernet is required on site. Here's a perfect example of an installation we did at Seattle Children's Hospital. Here they had a staff lot, which you see on the left-hand side with the access gates, where we simply drilled down 2 pods, and as cars drive in and out, the sign updates wirelessly in real time. The system is over 99% accurate, installed in 2 to 3 hours, and worked right away out of the box. On the right-hand side, what you'll see are longer speed bumps and a solar sign in the trees over there. And this is for a visitor lot as cars are coming in. The client here at Seattle opted to have these humps there at the entry and exit points into the lot in order to actually slow traffic down, because this is a very central visitor and patient lot for like short-term parking, and people were rushing in and out. So they used it both as a traffic calming tool and as a parking counting guidance tool. The way our sensors work is that their magnetometer is looking up, so we require some form of delineation between the lanes in order to achieve a perfect count. Now, some of our medical universities sometimes don't necessarily want signs, but they want the ability to capture this real-time occupancy and ingress and egress data and maybe share it on apps or just for data collection. In those cases, we have the most simple to deploy technology available on the market. Here, we have a sensor that was simply drilled in about 15-20 minutes. On the nearest light pole, we put in what was a repeater. The repeater, we just attached a solar panel to it, and in literally in an hour and a half, we had a 99% accurate count going to the cloud simply by putting a sensor at the in, a sensor at the out, and a single data controller or repeater that is sending the count to the cloud for them to get the data. It doesn't get simpler or easier than this. The next shot I have is also an image of what we have as an embedded sensor, where we can embed it in the concrete for people in the Northeast who are concerned about humps in cars and how they are. But something to understand from this is, given the variety of options available to any healthcare provider in making a count, ours is the simplest, most accurate, and by far the most affordable. The picture in front here is from the Virginia Railway Express that had 1,500 commuter spaces on their railway line. To outfit it with single space sensors would have cost over $220,000. Another option would be to put cameras overhead looking down at 30 to 40 spaces at a time. In that, each of those cameras costs $2,000 to $4,000. By putting them up, you need labor to climb all the poles, and then you're looking at about $100,000 to $150,000. Finally, you could even put in maybe an old embedded loop and run power to this. There's no local power within a few hundred feet, so they'd have to dig, trench, and from there, you'd be $15,000 to $20,000 to get the same count. From our system, all that was needed was to embed each of the sensors in under a half an hour each, put a pole in the ground and a repeater there, and they have a 99% accurate count system communicating with the cloud, installed in under 2 hours for under $7,000. So the parking counting system from Parking Logix is always the most affordable, easiest to install, and the most accurately available on the market. What's nice also is that we're able to take the same sensors and pods and then create different zones or levels within a garage. And what's nice is if you have post-tension concrete or protective membranes on the floor, our sensors can simply glue down on the ground in minutes, allowing you to get a count up and going in hours, even in a complex environment. The sensors are bi-directional, so we can accommodate cars going up and down ramps in any direction. And what we do for larger scenarios is we just take our same sensors and connect them to local repeaters to create a count on all the different levels to then flow. The final main aspect of any parking count or guidance platform comes down to signs. So these can be used in many cases. Most commonly, they're used either right outside a facility, as you see with the solar-powered sign, or they can also be used in arterial roads or major decision points to show the spaces or occupancy in a number of different lots. All of this comes behind the concept of is providing the right information at the right time. Taking data, sending it online for people to see, also putting in the right signs for people to make the right decision, and then potentially outside the lot if that's where they're seeing the data last. In a corporate environment, we're also capable of providing big branded signs to make it look any way that people need because to make that parking experience consistent with the brand experience is always important. They need to know that, and they need to see the brand from the time they come in to the time they leave. And this is where customized signs provide a really nice feel for that. Getting back to the point I just was on telling people the right information at the right time, this is where the data coming online is perfect to be sent to apps or third-party websites. Parking Logix provides an API data feed to allow you to have an app, as shown here as the Virginia Railway Express, or through a widget on a website to show a map with available spaces in real time, color-coded based on different occupancy levels, to allow people before they make their journey into the healthcare establishment to see what that occupancy is at any given time. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you just a quick little snapshot of how we manage our parking data. Once the hardware has already been installed in either the traffic scenarios or in the parking areas, we then provide and compile all the information to a central login point where you can see your parking, radar, and speed camera all within the same unified interface, where you can generate reports, see with our map-based function, and also change certain parameters of the system. But simply, if you wanted to click on a map, you're then able to see in real time what's going on with radar signs, with parking systems, and the like. So if we drill in here and click on this site, we see a parking occupancy of about 6% at this lot now live, but there's also a radar sign that's showing the max speed, minimum speed, and actually what the vehicle count is currently at that time, all from one simple unified interface. And going back here, I'll then talk through each of the different segments. So first is obviously my favorite is just the parking. So in any given time, you're able to click in and see one or any number of parking sites to be able to drill down and see what the real-time occupancy is, set alerts, run reports, or change the number of spaces or messages you want to see. So if we start with reports, many times our clients often look for, I want to know what the daily occupancy was like on a given lot. So if we just choose within any lots, your daily report, we can choose a date in there and time and a number. And what this will build is a simple daily occupancy report that is exportable to CSV that will show the max, minimum, and average occupancies for hours intervals, as you can see over the course of a day. And with a simple one click, you then get to see how the occupancy moves over a day in a graphical format, and which is perfect for your weekly meetings to show your weekly occupancies and such. And these are very important and powerful tools to then help with all of those planning and pricing decisions that I spoke to you about before. Another key report that people look at in terms of parking is the daily ingress and egress report. To understand what your traffic is like at certain points of day, where are those peak times, the daily ingress and egress report allows you to see is exactly how many cars were coming in and out at certain times over the course of a given day. Simply by generating the report in that day, you'll then see the number of cars on the ingress here coming in and out. And then if you see my cursor to the next column, you see the egress, which are the number of the cars that left that facility or that level of the garage on that time. And what happens is simply with a click, it's graphically illustrated with the blue being in, the orange being out, but then you can see is where's my traffic, where are my peak times? In a healthcare environment, you might see an employee garage having peak ingress and egress potentially 2 or 3 times a day based on 8-hour shifts or 10-hour shifts that you have. And so it's important to see this because that's when you know which garages you might need to allocate different permits for different times. And what's nice is this parking data, like I showed before, goes right to a back end to show maybe parking availability to drivers, or as an example we have with the university, where they can see the number of spaces available in different lots before they come in, or even in a map-based interface, where they can see how things are in a given map before they go to the facility. We provide the parking data that is accurate, that is easy to get, and is very, very affordable on a monthly basis, and especially on an installation basis. I'm now going to just briefly show in a few of the traffic reports and summaries that we can get before I conclude the presentation. Now, going back to the main dashboard, all of our clients would have to do is simply click on a top left logo up here to bring them back to this base cloud. Bringing up the reporting signs, you can see here what's going on in real time, or for the demos, you can see the last communication, minimum max speeds, for just a quick snapshot of what's going on in the signs. But to get a clearer look with radar signs, you typically want to get maybe a weekly report of what's going on traffic from a given location or sign. So in this case, I'm going to choose one sign, a vehicle count. I'm going to choose the month of August in 2020. And what's going to happen is a report is going to be built that highlights the statistics from all traffic and speeds over the course of a month. Now, knowing which entry areas or which exit areas have the most traffic can help you with planning. Knowing average speeds to know is, do I need to slow people down and how am I going to do that? Maybe I want to implement rubber humps in one place. Maybe a radar sign would work well in another. But simply, all of these devices alone collect the data to help you make those decisions. So here, what I'm showing is a weekly report of vehicle counts on the day of the week between these times, and it's showing the statistics. We also have summaries in terms of average vehicles, total speeds. The system even breaks down hourly values by count of cars to understand is how many cars are coming on that street at a given time, and then can even be broken out by days. So the idea is this stuff, signs, you simply put on a pole, it gets the count, reduces the speed, reduces fatalities, reduces liabilities, and gives you better ability to make better traffic and safety decisions. And finally, some of the fun stuff is what we have is with the cameras. So I'm not going to necessarily say that, doctors are always, fast to come in and out, but maybe they drive faster cars than the average population and they're quick to get to their office. So simply what we're able to do is have the cameras, and because we have a deep background in radar technology, we can have solar or battery powered cameras that require no local data, no local power, that are able to provide real-time accurate evidence of people going over the speeds. So simply click on a record, and what shows up is a car over the course of time. So the speed limit in this given area is about 40 kilometers an hour. This car was caught at 42, and you can press an animation that shows the license plate. So right here, the data is there, the license plate is logged in on the bottom left, and the idea is you can identify who this parker is, because their license plate would likely be registered with their parking pass, and find out if this is someone who definitely speeds all the time, it can then be used to change their negative parking behavior. We do not send tickets, we do not write tickets, but we provide the technology to allow you to be notified and enforce as you wish to change this negative behavior. If people are speeding and you can find them and catch them out, if they see that evidence, hopefully the hope is that they will then reduce their speeding around campus to make it safer for everyone. Now, this kind of concludes the more formal part of the presentation today. But what I wanted to say is that all of our companies at Logix ITS are open and available to do trials of our technology. If you reach out to us, and we're happy to work with you at any given time for a 30 or 60-day trial of parking counting or traffic calming solutions. I hope you've learned a lot on the webinar today about how affordable and accurate technologies can be implemented for the benefit of your healthcare environment, and we look forward to hearing from you. I'm Josh from Parking Logix, and thank you for joining us today. And if you have any questions, just send us an email at info@parkinglogix.com. Thank you so much and have a great day.